All right, it's Friday night. We're talking disc wheels already, even before we started.
You know it's going to be a good talk when we're literally talking about disc wheels.
Yeah, I
You
got
know, the
my.
worst part about a disc wheel is when you're looking for them on the internet. Now you have to like, how do you search for disc?
Yeah, right.
Right? You put in disc wheel, and all you get is wheels that are not discs. You get a disc
That's
brake.
right. That's
They
right.
need to come up with another name for this. I don't know if you've come across that.
No, I haven't, but I just say disc, and I wait. Should I spell one of the discs with a K and one with a C? I don't know. But no, I just got my disc wheel, and I was just commenting. Oh my! I rode it yesterday, and my bike just seemed to track much better with it. So I'm really excited about eventually racing with it. So that'll be good.
You know, it's funny. Like, I think I would like to ride my disc like all the time, but I don't want to be that guy out there all the time with the
Yeah,
disc
yeah, right.
brake. But I know, like, when I've done last year, I did a 160-mile ride and I put the disc on.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, well, why wouldn't I? Right? Like, if I'm out there for that
Oh
amount of time, like, let's say I don't know, 5 to 7 watts
yeah,
faster or less energy over an 8 hour ride or a 9 hour ride, that's big,
yeah, right.
right?
Well, and it's just good, practice to getting used to the sounds, getting
Yeah.
used to the handling. I don't I'm I I don't care what I look like, but but at
I
the
know.
same time, the reason why why I won't ride it full time is because I'm lazy. Because I put my race tire on the
Yep.
disc, and I don't
Yep.
want to change it and put a training tire because I don't want to put extra miles on my race wheels, on my
No,
race
that's
tires.
the race tires. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
No,
issue.
that's probably more than me too, because I'm the same. Like, okay, I've got one race tire that I put on at the beginning of the season,
Yeah,
and usually it lasts me throughout the whole season.
yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then I
That's
put the latex tubes in, and then latex tube. You always got to pump them up every day. And again, I'm lazy. I'm like, I don't want to pump. I ride my bike, almost every day, and I'm like, I don't want to pump up my tires every day.
so fun fact for you: the
Yeah.
newest Vittoria latex do not need to be pumped up as often.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
So they're putting more graphene into it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have some of them, and I can go a couple days now without.
Nice. And
Yeah,
they obviously don't influence the rolling resistance then, if it. Okay.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I know. I mean, they claim it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I've noticed that, especially the big pain is the night before a race,
Yep.
or going to race. You have to make sure you have your pump,
You have to. That's right.
but with the new ones, you might lose 5 to 7 pounds overnight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you could really you potentially could not have to bring your pump in the morning
Okay.
and set it up. So there is that. That's the last year or so, I think, Victoria's
Oh,
latex.
interesting. Okay. I'll have to look into that. I've been using the Silka. Uh,
Well, this and now Silka has those ones,
okay, okay.
but they're out of stock.
All right.
Latex tubes are out of stock almost everywhere, by the way,
Yeah, right.
like everything.
Mm. Yeah, it's strange time still.
Yeah, I
So,
actually bought some tubes from England, and I could only buy three.
huh.
They have a limit on the amount of tubes you could buy right now,
Oh, interesting.
and so
Yeah, I was down doing the endless pool swim, and they've run into manufacturing pipeline problems as well. Actually during this last year, they actually did have a surge in interest in the endless pool
right.
because you can't swim in a pool and your pool's not open and you want to get something. But the problem is they ran into part problems getting parts for the pool. So it's a little bit hard. So
Supply chain everywhere these days, it seems like.
yeah. So we were talking a little bit about racing ahead of time, and we've got a big weekend. We scheduled our Las Vegas Tri Club race on Saturday the 28th, and then this PTO organization comes along.
I know. They saw that we scheduled, and they're like, "Oh, that is a good weekend. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
it is a good weekend. Let's do our big race
Yeah,
this weekend as well."
the
And
Collins Cup.
and the worst part is, I was like, "Oh man, it's in Europe. Maybe we'll get lucky, and we won't." Well, of course, it starts at 4 a.m. here,
Yeah,
about the time we're getting going to our race.
yeah, yeah, right.
So I'm really hoping we'll be able to, when we get home, we'll be able to watch it on YouTube or
Yeah.
on their app or something like that. Because that's what I did for Challenge Daytona. I didn't watch it live. I watched it later,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
it was fine. And the truth of the matter is, we all know that Europe's going to win. So even if I turn it on, it might see a picture of the Europeans holding the trophy.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll
right.
get it ruined because John, I don't know about you, but I've looked at this many ways, and I cannot imagine a way Europe does not win.
I'm the same way, but to tell you the truth, I don't fully understand the whole scoring system yet. And
Oh,
so
because of
the
the time
gap
duration and
part,
how that
that's
adds
right.
points.
And yeah, I'm like, well, why would you even compete this race? Well, there's a gap issue and points. So I don't understand entirely how the points are accumulated, but
But
I
it
think
makes
there's a
sense, right?
lot
Because
that's,
if you know you're 5 minutes behind on the run, why keep going?
yeah, right, right,
Like, oh,
right.
I'm going to lose. I'm last. I'm last. So I think it's smart how they're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still like when I picked my winners today. I think I had 9 out of the 12 races were European winners.
Yeah, I would think if you won the majority of the races, you should win the whole
You're
thing.
gonna. I think no matter what, you'll win because you'll win for the points,
Yeah,
like for winning. Plus, you'll win for the time gaps.
yeah. But
So
what I love about this is it's a little different twist on the race.
yeah,
And what I think that's helped even us as a club is to think about some other alternative events that we can do. And we did the test event for the swim run,
yeah,
and that was fun. We had a good group, and it was just neat to do something different. And
yes.
then we're going to explore some other formats
I
going
think we need
forward
to
as
think
well.
like this, right? And like, if even if you look at the WTC, the World Triathlon, not the WTC, sorry, the ITU World
Yeah.
Triathlon, I think it's called now. Last week in Montreal, they did the Eliminator,
Hmm.
and
Oh
they
yeah.
did, and so they're trying to think differently, and I think that if triathlon is going to continue to grow and to be, I don't know, a media friendly sport, we need to start thinking about these things.
Yeah.
And I love watching, or I loved watching the indoor triathlon stuff we saw with the what's it called, the super, not super sprint,
Super League.
super league,
Yeah.
super league. I mean, that was so fun to watch, and
Hmm.
they're basically doing 9 events,
Yeah.
and you know how fun is it to
Hmm.
watch that? And we need to stop thinking of traditional triathlon and
Yeah.
start thinking of multi-sport.
And the traditional race has its spot,
Yes, no,
and
it
that's never
absolutely
going to go away. That's right.
it
But I
does.
agree with you. Let's be inventive. Let's think about some different formats. So I think that's what's going to be fun about this Collins Cup is it's not necessarily a different event, but it's a different way of racing an event, and it becomes a little bit more strategic
Yeah.
in terms of who's racing which race.
Well, it was pretty fun to watch the draw. I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't. I was looking for it on YouTube. I didn't find it.
Yeah, so I watched it on. I did find it. I watched it on YouTube, and you could tell like there were some changes that were done on the fly,
Yeah.
which was pretty interesting. And honestly, I think the matchups are as almost as good as they could be.
Well, okay, so let me ask you then, because this is what I was curious about, is they rotated who put up their race for or racer
Right.
first, right?
Yes.
So for Jan Frodeno's race, who put up first? Who was the first one on
Europe
the
did.
board? Who was?
Europe was first, and they got to so Europe got to choose first because there was a Zwift competition,
Uh-huh.
and it was there was you could have went into different Zwift events that you were supporting Europe, you were supporting the internationals, or you're supporting the United States,
Okay.
and Europe won
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Zwift contest, so they got to choose in the first round. They got to choose first, and they chose Jan Frodeno first.
So that's right. Okay, now strategically, no, maybe you've read into this. I haven't. That's why I was curious. Why was Sam Long and Sam Appleton then picked against him? I would think, okay, let's let Leon have his race. But
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Like, and I'm not too sure about the Appleton pick, but I think Sam Long just was like, I want to race him.
from what I know of Sam Appleton's race history, this is a really good distance for him.
Yeah.
So
So I don't know. And then you think about like the big bikers in match 9 with Kienle, Sanders, and Starkowitz, right? Like
Hmm.
just happened that way. People were trying to put up, you know, bikers against bikers. Then match 11 with Lang, Curry, and Hansen, they're all runners,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And I think that for the most part, they were really trying to like win every match and not think, oh well, you know what, this is the best, so let's put a lesser person against them.
Yeah. Right.
And then I also wonder because, and maybe it bothers me in some way, there's no money on the line,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Everybody gets paid,
Okay.
and so that if the winning team doesn't get any more money than the losing team,
Right.
so maybe if there was actual money on the line, maybe things would be different. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Hey, and did you catch one of the athletes has been on our podcast,
So who is this?
Cherry Lester?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, we had her and her, I think husband at the time, or fiance, either way, on our podcast. So
Yep.
I'm rooting for Carrie because she was on our podcast, and I think she actually has a really good chance for
I
first.
actually picked her to win.
Yeah, yeah.
That was one of the few non-Europeans I picked to win. I picked her
Uh,
to win. I'll tell you my non-Europeans. I picked her to win. I picked Braden Curry to win, and I picked Starkowitz to win match 9.
yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, yeah.
But only because Sanders has raced 3 Ironmans in the last 6 weeks or
It's
whatever.
gonna catch up to him at some point.
Has to.
Yeah, it's
And he raced one last week, and then that race mattered,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
And he even said he was even thinking of DNFing during the race. So I think you're right. I think Starkowitz. And I see Sebastian Kienle. He's been injury. He's had some injuries over this last few years.
yeah,
So that's been a tough one.
yeah. So I think that I'm looking at it now. I think that's the only. I hate to say it. Oh no, I picked Ben Canute as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I
Well,
think in this distance, Ben Canute is
I think on the female side, race number 2 with Lucy Charles Barclay, Paula Finlay, and Katie Zeffers, I think that's going to be a really interesting one. I think between Paula and Lucy, but
I would have said that had Paula not had a stress fracture this summer.
oh, I
So
didn't catch that.
he is just returning from a stress fracture. I shouldn't be
Ah,
telling people this. They're going to change their picks.
okay. Yeah,
But
well, we
so
we almost met up. She's a camper van person, so
yes.
and they were coming through Vegas, so we were trying to help find a quick homestay when they were passing through Vegas. So
Well, if they ever need a place to stay, because she's Canadian, she could stay here. Well, obviously your wife is Canadian as well. I don't know if you follow. I know this because actually I follow their YouTube channel,
yeah.
and they've got, in my opinion, her and Eric Langerstrom have but the best YouTube channel
Oh,
for travel.
really? Oh, good.
Yeah, it's to me it's done the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's only started running, not assisted this week.
Oh, okay.
So she was
Interesting that
using
she's still in this then.
she was using one of those lever systems,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it is interesting, but I think the money is pretty good for them.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So now let me ask you, we're jumping around here. I guess we should
Okay.
do this more systematic, but race 4 with Holly, Ellie, and Sky, how do you,
I have Holly, Sky, Ellie, I think.
uh, see, I think Holly obviously is the top choice there, but I'd go with Sky as, my, I guess, dark horse coming in for the win on that one.
Well, she's had a great year,
Yeah.
and but she's Holly Lawrence. I mean,
She's, yeah.
it seems like every race I see her in, she's always on the podium,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like it doesn't seem like there's very much. Um, yeah, she doesn't really seem to have any down races. And the other thing I was thinking when I was doing my picks is they're in Europe, right? No time changes, no
Hmm.
dealing with COVID testing to get on a
Hmm.
plane and not knowing could I get there and all these other stresses. So
Yeah.
I think that does play a role.
Well, it'll be fun. And now, okay, so do you understand the how they're doing it because it's not one race at a time.
No,
They
they're
send the
they're
three off
staggering it.
staggered. Okay. So there could be some intermixing of athletes on the
I think if
courses.
it's wide enough, there won't be any.
Okay.
I mean, on the run there might be, but I think they've
Yep.
staggered it enough on the bike that it won't be.
And I guess some athletes are mic'd up.
Yes, I think that's going to be pretty exciting, actually. Although, can you really? I don't know about you, John. I can't. I can't talk
Back in the day, I could. I can't now.
on a long downhill. On a long downhill, I can talk.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? If it's flat or uphill on the bike, I can't talk, and definitely not on a run.
Yeah, but I know that I remember times where you come up on your competitor and you do everything you can to be as composed as possible and say, "Hey, how's it going?"
Well, I think maybe in a longer race when you're not going quite as hard, but this is not that long of a race.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And I think that they're going to be pretty dang close to threshold.
Yeah.
So, and actually, I don't think there's going to be a lot of passing. Right?
Okay.
I think it's going to be like once it's kind of established,
Hmm.
because it's three people. Like we see these guys race with bigger fields usually,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
two or three people have good races,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then we might see some passing there. I don't know. Once again, I'm interested. Like I'm really intrigued.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is just such a neat time to launch this and really because it's really been in the making for at least a couple years at this point,
I think
right?
3 years ago is the first time I heard about it.
Yeah, and it just kept one thing led to another, and but here they are trying to launch it. So hopefully we'll catch some good steam and
Well, and I think the exciting thing about this is almost all of these people will be in our neck of the woods in 3 weeks.
that's right. I think
I
you're
was looking
yeah.
at the start list, and almost I don't know who's not going to be here in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be I don't know. Is Ferdino committed to St. George?
I don't know, but I did not think so.
But maybe now there's no Kona.
Oh, you know what? That's true because that's what I was just thinking. Because Kona was 3 weeks from
Yeah,
would have been 3 weeks from St. George, but you're right. Now there's no Kona.
I would be surprised if there's not anyone on this list.
Yeah,
Maybe Taylor Knibb or Katie Safaris wouldn't have qualified, but I can also see Ironman giving them an entry.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. So I'm reading a comment on our poster. Colleen says, I think they didn't put the lesser people with the goats, Jan and Daniela, because of those extra points that can be scored on the time gap. See, that's what I don't fully understand the scoring system. So sounds
Yeah.
like Colleen understands that better than I do for
But that
sure.
makes sense too, right? Like, yeah, you don't want to
Yeah,
lose by 20 minutes and
yeah.
lose points. Yeah.
Maybe that gap is more meaningful. So
Yeah.
interesting. But Sam Long he could have a great race. So who knows?
He can have a great race. I still don't see him beating Jan on it. Well, but here's the problem. Like in a one-on-one or heads-up thing, I mean, Jan could have a cold,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
you don't know, like on the day.
And the run is a 15K, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
I think it's
Yeah.
15. Yeah.
So 15, that's an interesting distance. So yeah, it
Oh no, I think it's 18K.
is it 18K?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's 18K. But still, it's not quite a half.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it'll be fun. So yeah, so let's talk St. George because that's in our backyard and I know a lot of people
Yeah, in
are
22 days.
yeah, we got a lot on the list to start from Las Vegas. And a lot of people are familiar with that area, but there's really one important step that we all need to do all the time.
What's this?
Download that athlete guide and read it.
Yes. Is it out?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
And
there you
oh,
go.
you haven't read it. Okay.
I have not read the athlete guide. I didn't because the last couple of Ironman races I've done, the athlete guide hasn't come out till like 10 days before. So I honestly wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and I found one discrepancy, and I'm sure I know which way it's going to go, but and the discrepancy is on in the beginning it says you have to wear your bib on the bike. But then later on, it says you only need your bib on the run. And so that'll just be a point that we will get clarification. And this is what I do a lot of times. Well, here's what we do when we travel to a race, especially is we'll download and print up. Even though half of this ended up being advertisements, I should have not had done that. I burned too much ink. But then we take this on our trip, and then when we're on the plane or we're driving, we'll just go through the entire thing. And my wife's much better. Laura's much better at going through this than I am. I'll skim through and look for some of the highlights, but she'll find these little things that are really pretty critical. So it's always good
Yeah,
to.
but I know you said you found the discrepancy. Honestly, like I think that there's been more discrepancies in these things, and I think it's because of COVID.
Mm, yeah.
Because even at the Oregon race there was discrepancies, and
Mhm.
the St. George race there was definitely discrepancies between what the athlete guide said and what ended up
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, and I think that is something, especially now, current times, we really, when even though we read the athlete guide, you got to go to the athlete briefing, and because it may change.
Yeah, but even the athlete briefing has been wrong.
Yeah.
The last St. George race, the big thing was the athlete briefing was, okay, you're gonna have to wait at your bike until you're called, and you're only gonna be called this amount of time before
Mm,
you line up. And you know, myself, and others, we got to our bikes an hour before our swim time, and they're calling us to. I literally got to my bike, and they're calling me to the start,
yeah.
and then we just stand around for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
too bad.
and
Yeah.
yeah, not only the athlete guide, but the briefing said that.
Yeah.
And that's very frustrating to most triathletes are very much that personality where they're planners, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of plan everything down. So, because the last thing I want to do is set my bike up and stand around my bike for 45 minutes,
Hmm.
right? So we plan, I planned it. And so, yeah, it can be frustrating when, race morning things are different than the athlete guide. But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
again, you got to be able to roll with it, right? And
Now more
everything
than
was
ever.
fine. I rolled with it, but
No,
yeah,
now more than ever. You're right. We gotta be able to adapt.
yeah.
It's,
But we've said that from the beginning of your and I's relationship in triathlon, talking about triathlon, is that's the number one skill,
yeah.
is problem solve and adapt, right?
Hmm.
And it's something that, you know, it's hard to like, you think about a beginner triathlete, they don't have that skill set yet because they
Hmm.
haven't been through the ringer and haven't had things
Right.
go wrong. And that if no other piece of advice I give to a beginner triathlon is like, you've got to just roll with it, and you've got to adapt,
Mhm.
and you've got to, things are going to go wrong. And we've talked about plan A, B, and C, right?
Yeah.
And well, if you've never been in the situation, how do
Hmm.
you know what these
It,
options are? So
yeah, no, it's a great point. You just have to have that mindset, adapt and problem solve. Yeah.
so John, you've done way more races than I have that have the bag system.
Yeah, has the what?
The bag system,
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah.
clean transition. Do you want to explain that to people? Because once
Oh
again,
man, I should
a
have
lot of
brought
people,
the bags up here.
this
I
is the
didn't bring the
first
bags
time
up.
many people will be racing like this.
Yeah, so okay, so when you check in, you get your bags for a 70.3. You'll get your morning clothes bag. Put your number on it. I'll tell you a story about that.
Yeah.
You get your T1 bag, so your swim to bike transition bag. You get your T2 bag, so your bike to run transition. And that's it for a 70.3. Now
Yeah.
for a hat or for a full,
John, let
then
me let me let me reiterate what you said.
okay,
Don't just put your number on it once either.
that's right.
And don't just put the sticker on that they give you. Like, take a Sharpie, write it on multiple times. I'm telling you, because when it comes at the end of the race and you're going to pick these things up,
Yeah,
it's way easier for the volunteers
yeah,
to find it, or you to find it.
yeah,
Um, I've been standing around waiting and waiting and waiting for people to try and find my bag, and the sticker had fallen off,
yep,
right? And the last thing you want to do after racing a 70.3 is deal with that. So there's no shame in writing your number all over
yep.
your bags. So
No,
go ahead.
and some people actually, and sometimes you scoff at it, but it's actually a great idea. They'll take their bag and they'll put a checklist on the bag in terms of what they're putting in the bag.
Oh, I
And so
love that
when
idea.
you're, yeah, so when you're preparing it, then you just, again, it's that mindset that I'm not worrying about it because I put the checklist down, it's on the bag. I put the socks in, I put the, hydration, whatever I'm putting in the bag, shoes and hat, what have you. And I'm checking that off. So I know it's in the bag because man, it's the worst feeling to, go into your race and you're like, wait, did I put that?
John, you just honestly blew my mind. Not as much as my mind was blown by Dr. Cat last week, but you blew my mind because I've never done this before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this may actually lower my stress level. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for the pro tip.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
I've probably only done 5 races in my time where I've had all these bags like this.
Oh yeah, yeah. And what I would do is in my train log, in my analog version of train log, my paper version, I actually would write out my list and my training log for what I'm going to put in each of the bags, as well as for an Ironman, put in your special needs. What am I going to put in there for each of those bags? And that again is just a nice way to just put stuff in. And believe me, I've messed up. I've put stuff in the wrong bag, and so it does happen, but trying to mitigate that risk as much as possible by listing things out is good.
I love it. Okay, continue on. Sorry to interrupt, but
No, 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 that's all good. So that was, I think I was going to say, so you get the 3 bags for this race, and just to double, triple say what you just said, number the bags because, and if you get a sheet and check in with all the numbers that you need to put in different places. If you end up with any numbers still left on that sheet, you've missed something and you need to put
I'll put
that
them on your
number.
bags.
Don't
Sometimes there's
put that
extra.
number on your bike at that or on your bike pump or anything. That means you missed putting that number somewhere, which is what I did.
But
I said,
sometimes
"Oh, we
there's
got an
extra
extra
numbers.
number. I'll put that on
Sometimes
my
there is
bike."
extra numbers though.
What's that?
Sometimes there is extra numbers.
Oh, you think? Oh, really? Oh, well, the time that I had an extra number, it was an extra number. And what I did is I forgot to number my morning clothes bag. So
Oh.
then at the end of the race, when I went to pick up my morning clothes bag, it was on a cold race too. And I'm looking for a jacket, I'm looking for my shoes, and my morning clothes bag was nowhere to be found. And I'm like, how did you lose my morning clothes bag? Well, they didn't lose it, I didn't number it. And
Exactly.
so then we were walking out of transition area, and I'm just frustrated. I'm like, oh, I can't find my morning. And then I just see this, I see my stuff hanging from a rack somewhere. I'm like, hey, that's my jacket. Oh, that's my bag. Oh, I never put my number on it.
Oh
So
goodness.
yeah, so number, number, number. And so you get those 3 bags. What's really important is go through the athlete guide and understand where those bags are going to be and when you need to drop them off. So 70.3 St. George is a point-to-point race. So we've got 2 transition areas. Now, most of the people who are racing this, they're experienced because this is a qualifying race, but it's still good to talk through and think about this as a point-to-point. And there's different times that we need to drop our bags off either for T1 or T2. So everything needs to be prepped well ahead of time.
So, John, when you in the athlete guide, does it show where these are going to be in reference to the transition areas and where the changing area is, or?
Yes, but this is one of those things that we need to be ready to adapt because it could change. I've done plenty of races where I I knew where it was going to be, but then the morning of someone just parked the container in the wrong spot,
Yep.
and all of a sudden it's over there instead of over there. And so, the nice thing about this athlete guide is they did a really good job with the maps, and they included lots of additional maps that has things laid out really, I think, well. You want to know where the morning clothes drop off is. So on the race day morning, you aren't stressing about, wait, what do I do with this bag? Now, some people may have spectators there, but this is a hard race to get to spectate the swim. And so know where that morning clothes drop off is going into the race. I can bring up the map too if we want to. Um, and then both T1 bag and T2 bag, we need to drop off the schedules in here somewhere. There's 2 different days to drop those off. So
Days?
Well, as of right now, but this,
Because I'm not going up till Thursday night.
let me let me check.
All right, you check, and I'll explain. I'm pretty sure it's a rack system, right? So
Yes.
you're gonna hang the bag on a rack with everybody else's, and there'll be like the last time I did it at the World Championships, there was 3 levels of where your bags are, and there should be somebody. Usually, there's volunteers there to help you find them, but who knows with this world we're living in now. All right, mandatory bike and bag check-in Friday
Is
from
that
10 to.
reversed on yours? It's reversed on mine.
No, I can see it perfect.
Okay, good, good. Yeah, so mandatory bike and bag check-in.
Oh, they're both on
Fri-
Friday.
Friday. Oh, okay, it is. Okay, Friday, September 17th, 10 to 6. Mandatory run bag check-in, different location, same day. So you're right. So Friday, September 17th, 10 to 6. They could have just said that on. No,
Both at the same times, yeah.
yeah. So both bag check-ins, but on different locations. And so we just got to work about our logistics of getting from downtown to Sand Hollow.
Perfect.
So
Oh, there's a fun run.
yeah,
Oh man,
we'll see if there. Yeah, we'll see if that's going to happen. Yeah. So here's the race bib information in the rules under Jimmy Rosatello's message. It says you got to wear your bike number during the bike and run portion, but later on it says you only the run. So I'm going to go with the later on one because I think this is a more of a boilerplate type of letter. So, like when we're traveling and we're getting ready for a race, we'll go through this schedule and we'll pick out things that we want to do and when we want to go to different parts or where we want to meet people up. So we try to nail down all that logistics. Uh, yeah, here's the stickers. So you have 3 bag stickers
and 2 extra.
and 2 extra. Oh yeah, there you go. 2 extra gear bag stickers. They all go in your gear bag though. And then, like you said, take a marker and a Sharpie and write the number on again. Let's see. Yeah, there's swim access. They're limiting that for pre-race.
So can we not swim in the oh, you can swim on the course from T1 at Sand Hollow on Wednesday and Thursday,
Yeah.
but not Friday, it looks like.
No, I don't think so.
But I wonder if they didn't change this after they changed the
Yeah.
women's race, because I can't imagine that you won't be able to swim on Friday out there.
Mhm. And these races now they have you check in and check out, so you always got to take your timing chip with you. And that's a nice safety feature that they're just making sure they're keeping track of everybody. And then we did that mandatory check-in. This is a nice map just for people who aren't familiar with the area. I think most of us are. Sand Hollow, and then downtown finish area. And I think most people I've heard locals are going to be staying in a lot of Airbnbs out near Sand Hollow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be almost where that blue arrow is pointing though.
Yeah, and you got lucky that there's not going to be a Friday race to wake you up early on Friday morning.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, so I'll be camping out. So I'll be walking to the start area. And I always go through the different maps just to familiarize myself with the area. I'm sure you do too, but this is the, the the finish line area and T1 area.
It's interesting because T1 is different than it has been for the 70.3 race, the normal one.
Yeah, I think it
It's
has.
actually on the street, right?
Yeah, I think the race before this would have been the transition area.
Right. Yeah.
But now I think the whole transition area is up
The street.
here. So yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different layout than the race that we've done before. So if you're not staying out at the lake, man, you got to figure out your logistics for getting to and from or to the start. So they do have the race day shuttles. I won't need it because I'll be right at the race day. I'll be right at the race start. I'll be at T1, uh, just off T1. I'll be camping out. For those who don't know, there's a Sand Hollow camping area right there, and I was able to secure one of those spots, which is going to be fun. I probably won't sleep as well though. And they did a spectator flow map, which is really nice.
Oh, nice.
So this area over here, they're leaving open for spectators. And the transition area is all the bikes are going to be back in this side of the parking lot. We're used to racing up there with Cocapelli and Sand
Yeah.
Hollow, and our transition area is usually this area here. And so it'll look a little different than the races that we're used to doing up at Sand Hollow. And the morning close drop off is at this end, as per the map right now, is down at this end of the
And does it
transition.
show where the racks are for picking up your bike gear?
Say it again.
Does it show where the racks are for picking up your bike gear?
Yeah, these lines here, this is all going to be your, for the racks for the bike here, I think, yeah, that's the next map. It's, that's bag drop. They have bag drop there. We're coming out. That's T1. Let's see if it's got enough. Well, now I said they had good maps. Now I'm looking for the bag. Oh, maybe this one is it.
Race flow.
Okay, so here's wetsuit strip here. And we run along this direction. Bike bags are these here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then the previous map said drop off. That's interesting. Okay, so then we pick up the bags here. There's a change area right here, change tents. And then we drop the bags off right afterwards. And then we go into our bikes. So finish through here, and this area down here is going to be the changing area.
Okay.
And it's just more of the swim start and finish. T2, and like you said, this is a little different than the previous St. George 70.3. So here's the circle that most people are familiar with.
The roundabout.
Yeah, the roundabout. Thank you. And we come in here on this direction here. Pros get to transition here. Here's our run bags in this area. Right after that, they've got the change area and then the bag drop. And then you're running back in to get your bikes.
No, drop off your bike.
Yeah, drop off your bike. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm on the wrong. Yep, that's right.
So, John, do you know, does it say somewhere, is there going to be basically just hand off the bikes to a volunteer?
You know, I don't remember seeing that. That's a really good question.
The other 70.3 worlds I've done, that's been the situation, is you
Yeah.
just literally give them your bike and run and grab your bag.
Bike course. Let me just see if it's here quickly.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I don't see it. I'm going to guess that they are also taking the bikes just the way that this map is showing
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah.
It's not taking you to the bike rack area.
Yeah.
So they're going to put the bikes off into probably up in this area up here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
oh, finish line. Good. We're there.
yeah, finish line. Finish line is the same.
Yep.
And it's, Ironman does a nice job of getting athletes flowing. And this is good to make sure you go over with any people that you're are coming up to watch, so you can figure out where you're going to meet up afterwards.
Yep.
So we exit out, do our finish line picks, and then we're actually going along this way. I think the other race has us going up that way, and then over into this area over here, which is a good place to meet up, or anywhere along here probably is all good.
Yep. Awesome.
And there is the after party, after race party, and you know, when we've done world championships, we try to go to all those events
Yeah, it's
because they
fun.
are a lot of fun. I think this one we're going to just sort of gauge it based upon where we are, where what's going on, and how it's going to be managed. Um, but it's down at the Dixie Convention Center. But these are usually really neat events to go to, especially at World Championship events. It gives a neat flair to it, and it's always fun to talk with other athletes at that point in terms of how their race went.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed going to all of those. The pre dinner and then the post. It's fun. It really is. Hopefully it'll be fun again.
And the swim is a rolling age group wave start.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to how they're going to stage this because they don't have a lot of area for the swim lineup. So I'm thinking of the stories that you've been telling about what happened, and I'm wondering how this is really going to go.
Yes, me too. Especially with the
Fortunately, the course is, the nice thing about this swim course is you don't have a turn early on.
right.
And so you've got this long swim here, almost 1,000 meters, 865 meters to that first buoy. So you're going to get a lot of spacing between athletes before you get to that first turn buoy. That first turn buoy should not be much of an issue, nor that one there. But it is still just good to know, when to line up. Because like you, I hate standing in a line for a long period of time in your wetsuit. Just not as
It says 10 athletes will start every 15 seconds.
yeah, I know. That seems a
That's
lot.
interesting.
Yeah.
It seems a lot, but it seems like that when we raced there at St. George in May, it was 5 athletes every 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but remember they doubled up men and women,
Yep.
and so I think I heard they have. Now I may be getting my number wrong, but it was like 3,600 that they need to get in, and that's going to take a little bit of time. Uh,
Yep.
Even at 10 athletes every 15 seconds, that's going to be and wetsuit, temperature.
We actually should have a poll if people think it's going to be wetsuit legal or not. I'm betting not.
Oh, really?
That's my bet. I mean, we're in a climate change
Ah,
situation here, and it's been a pretty hot year. And,
yeah,
um, you know, I know most of the years, well, we'll know because people are racing that Kokopelli race the week before.
yeah.
So maybe that'll give us some information. But for our event tomorrow, I'm going to wear a swim skin just to practice in.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, we'll check temperature in the morning. The lake has been fluctuating a little bit. It's interesting, but
Yeah.
it's probably because it's so shallow where we are right now that
Getting a lot of
temperature
flow.
really can fluctuate. So, yeah, but I don't think Kokopelli has ever been a non-wetsuit race. I
But
don't remember.
and I don't know for sure either. I don't think it has been, but once again, it's getting warmer and warmer.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't count it out, but so just be prepared.
So I know you do a lot of in-depth review of the bike course using
Yes.
Strava and even going out there. But when you look at a map like this, what do you look for?
I look for any U-turns.
Hmm.
So there is a U-turn that has not been that one was on the St. George course last
Yeah,
time. So
this one,
that one's a new one.
yeah, and I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny one.
Yeah, it's a really funny one. So the course is just a little bit different. I can tell you, John, that since you didn't race it, and maybe there's other people that have not raced out there, that didn't race the May event. When you get out of the lake and you take the first left onto right there, that road is so good now because
Oh
it's
yeah.
brand new. It
Hmm.
is. Oh, it's so good. It is so fast. And
Hmm.
the surface from there basically to where the G is spectacular.
That's great because especially this part back here
Well,
was,
that's brand new. It's
yeah, that's
literally,
good. Even this down here too.
that actually is still the old surface, but
Okay,
it's not bad.
that's a little bumpy.
Yeah, it's not terrible. And then when you get on the highway, it's really good surface.
Yeah.
And of course, going in, and then so the next G is also a new road from there, not the U-turn section, but from there until till that little U on right underneath the 9. That's all brand new road.
Okay.
And then Red Hills Parkway is perfect, perfect surface. And the only really after that, the only bad surface is Snow Canyon, but you're going slow,
Mm.
and it's not a great surface. But the descent is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is Diagonal Road at the very end is very bumpy.
Okay.
So that's one thing you got to kind of know. So, but I mean, obviously, I've been on this course many, many times, and I know that. Then the other thing is that I would look at the profile, and on this profile, it looks like very little, right? But
Yeah.
look at it; it is 3,400 and what's 42 feet. That's a lot of climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, on the picture, it doesn't look like much, but we've all been out there, or most of us have been out there and seen that first bump,
Yeah.
right? So the first bump at like mile 5, it's quite a climb.
That's that'll wake you up.
Yeah, and this picture does not do that does not do this justice.
No, you look at this picture and it's like, oh yeah, no,
It's flat.
this is a flat, fast course. But
Yeah,
no, I like, yeah, I don't trust these maps for elevation profiles, especially.
yeah. So I obviously, I would look at the elevation very, very carefully, and knowing where to put the effort in. And we talked about this when we talked about St. George 70.3, but obviously the big feature here is Snow Canyon,
Mm-hmm.
and so that starts at mile like 42, I think.
This area right here.
Yeah, right there. And it progressively gets steeper and steeper. And the last mile is the steepest. So just
Yep.
gonna be ready for that, that it's gonna get steeper. Um, I personally love that climb because I know when I get to the top, the bike portion is basically over.
That's right. You got an aid
'Cause-
station right at the top.
yeah.
And
So
then
pro tip, are you ready for the pro tip?
here,
At the bottom aid station, throw your bottles away other than exactly what you need
right here.
for the next 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Don't carry anything extra because at the top, that's the time you fill up because you want to weigh less on the way up, weigh more on the way down.
that's good.
Yep. So if I've got an extra water bottle hanging around, I'm tossing it there.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I have just enough water or fluid or whatever to get me to the top, and
Yeah.
then take 2 bottles at the top. Fill it up. Even though I'm not going to drink it,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to help me on the descent.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Little tip on that one.
Yeah, and then you come in and you hit that T2 area.
Yeah. Let's talk about the run because the run is honestly that's where the teeth are in this. I mean, the bike is hard, but it's a net downhill on the bike. This scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
And I've ran it many times.
Yeah.
But I mean, John, the number on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
what does it say? 1,200 or 1,300 for
This one,
elevation? No, the total.
start elevation 2739, finish elevation 2732, total elevation 1293.
Okay. I'm going to tell you this because it's really interesting. If you're preparing, try and find yourself a run that gives you 1,300 feet of climbing.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Man, it is hard. A couple weeks ago, okay, I'm going to do it. And I literally climbed for over an hour running and had my wife pick me up. So I didn't even get all the way back home.
Oh, wow.
And I still only got 1,100 feet.
Oh, goodness.
Like this run course
Yeah.
is horrendously hard. Now, that being said, the last World Championship I did, it was 2017 in Chattanooga, and it was very, very hilly as well. And it tests you. I mean, was Nice hilly?
Nice was pancake flat.
Oh,
But I had my gut problems for that race for sure. And it was unfortunate because I was really looking forward to just running a nice flat
Yeah.
along the promenade, and it was just a beautiful run. But yeah, it was it was too quick of a turnaround for me to go from an iron distance to a 70.3.
Right. So when I look at this, because I've raced it, parts of this course several times and trained up there, it really, to me, this race, if you're gonna compete, it's mile 7 to mile 9.
It's not
That's
what?
mile 7 to mile 9.
Oh yeah.
That's that's the business end.
Mhm. Oh,
You know.
let's just go over it. It's two loops.
Yep.
So here, and, oh, sorry, down to here, which sort of stinks.
Yep.
And then
Because
coming
that's a
back
steep
up,
hill.
this section hurts. This section hurts. And
Mhm.
yes, the second time around, there's mile 9 there.
But when you get to mile 9, it flattens out on the top there.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a little rolling, but it's not. There's
Yep.
nothing left.
Yep.
Like to me, if I get to mile 9, I'm gonna be pretty happy. Like if I'm running well at mile 9, because from there it's just it's not that bad.
Hmm. Yep. Just a little bit of rolling. And the previous 70.3 would go up to here and then down this way. I forget which way it came
Yep,
through.
down that way, basically the exact way, but then it would turn around,
Yeah. And then come back.
come
This,
back,
yeah.
which was also challenging, but not as challenging as this.
Mm-hmm.
This is the second loop. Though there will be carnage on that second loop, because
Yeah.
part of it is because at mile 6, that downhill is so steep.
Uh-huh.
So look at mile 6,
Or,
right? So you go do the out and back, and then you go down
yeah.
right there.
Mm-hmm.
That section, I don't even know, is it 15% downhill
Mm-hmm.
for some of that section?
Yeah.
It is. I mean, and we know, based off of our science stuff, that the eccentric load on running downhill is what tears your muscles
Yeah.
apart.
This will be a leg burner, and
Yep.
you gotta get to that roundabout, and then you gotta go back up, and then
Yep.
back up diagonal. And see this hill going up is I find this type of hill hard for me.
Yeah, because
This
it's
type
one
of
to two
hill over
percent.
here, it's so steep. I know I'm gonna be walking it, especially the second
Yeah.
time. So that's an easy decision at that point. But this hill, this low grade hill, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's so hard because it's 1 to 2%. You feel, and you don't even feel like you're going uphill,
Yep.
but you're not running fast,
No.
right? Like you're like, oh, you're working hard,
Mm-hmm.
and you're just not able to move fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things, my little thing that I do there is I don't look at my pace. I really don't, because it'll demoralize you, because you feel like you're not running that much uphill, but you are.
Yep.
And you start looking at your watch and like, oh my God, I should be running faster.
Mm.
No, it's because it's uphill, and and because it's almost like a false flat,
Mm-hmm.
especially that, basically from the turn from the roundabout to you get to Red Hills Parkway. It's, yeah, it's, and like when the old course, when you turn around and come back, you could feel it. It's like so good, right? Like
Yeah, that's right.
1 to 2% downhill is great. And to me, that's the thing that's missing out of this race, is there's not that nice long, uh, gentle downhill to finish. It is
Mm-hmm.
a steep downhill finish.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Cramp City for me, probably. Hopefully not.
Well, as long as we keep on our feet and we don't collapse, then that'll be good.
Yes.
But yeah, it's it I'm feeling good about where my swim's at. I'm feeling good where my bike is at. I'm not feeling good where my run is at, but I'm gonna I'm gonna throw the dice out there and give it a
Yeah.
whirl.
And that's all you can do, right? Like
Hmm.
it is what it is. It's going to be a hard day.
Yeah.
And the other thing we briefly should talk about is you got to be prepared for it to be hot. Like
Well.
I know you look at the long, the historical forecast
Hmm.
says between 85 and 90 for the high.
Hmm.
I mean, we've been there, Cocopelli, and it is blazing hot at
Yeah,
10 o'clock in the morning,
that's right.
and where you're dying to get in some shade. And there is no shade on the run.
No, it's not. None at
There's
all.
none.
It's a beautiful view.
It's a beautiful view of the sun,
Yeah.
We were fortunate in the spring that the run was the race it was cloud cover,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's pretty rare
Hmm.
in that southern Utah desert. So yeah, you gotta. We talked about running and running fast and staying cool, but
Hmm.
it's going to be imperative.
Yeah,
And get your heat training in. Before we got on the call, you were talking about how you hate you've
yeah.
been hating riding and running in the heat, but honestly, nothing's preparing you better.
No, that's right. We've got to be ready for that. I got to start looking at the long range forecast. But oh, I got to give a shout out here. Paul Manguel is organizing the volunteers for
Right.
the World Championship, and if you are not racing, or if you're taking a spectator up there, certainly find a place that they can volunteer. And sometimes that's a great way as a support crew is to be a volunteer somewhere, because you get to see the race at from a different angle, because you don't always get to see your athlete the whole time. So why not volunteer and help out somewhere along the way?
Yeah. And I think some people they don't want to be the volunteer like the at the nutrition state, like handing out water at the aid stations.
Hmm.
There's way more jobs out there than just
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Paul mentions you can even volunteer at the Friday gear drop,
Yeah.
so you don't even need to miss the race, and you can support. So
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, highly encourage that. So
yeah,
great. And thank you, Paul, for
yeah.
helping put
Thanks,
this
thanks
together.
for doing that, Paul. That's a lot of work. So yeah, trying to drum up some support for that. Well, cool. Well, this is exciting. So we've got World Championship on our threshold. We've got Collins Cup this weekend. We've got our more importantly our club
Our
event tomorrow.
whole event tomorrow, exactly. We
I
got to
still
get to
got.
bed. We got to wake up at 3:30 or so. We better get to bed here soon.
I'm not done getting ready. I still got to go get stuff ready.
My checklist is about halfway done.
Is it?
I did get
Oh,
my bike ready this afternoon. That was a big win.
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, you know what? I was going to mention to you again. We talked before about our bike rear derailleur bolt
Yes.
coming loose. Mine came loose again, and so I've got to figure out
The,
what I'm
the
going to
little
do with
tiny
it.
screws that are holding the hanger.
Not the hanger. This is actually the rear derailleur bolt. So I'm going to put some Teflon tape on that this time.
Oh,
Try
yeah.
to.
Mine doesn't come loose.
Oh, okay.
I've never had that like the 5 millimeter bolt.
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
never had that come loose. And
Oh,
I
so
actually
yours was the rear.
I
Yours
even
was the
grease
rear.
mine.
Okay,
Like I grease it because I take it off every time I travel and I want to
got
be
it.
able to get it off. Wow, that's interesting.
Well, and I guess the reason why I brought that up is as we head up to St. George, everyone does. Obviously, we don't have to pack our bikes so much, but you do sometimes, have to take your wheels off. You got to do this or that. Boy, you get to St. George, it's a great time to just check everything,
Yep.
and even check your rear derailleur bolt. And
Yeah, and because we're driving, I'll bring my derailleur hanger tool just in
uh,
case.
yeah, yeah,
Throw it in the bottom of the car and because I've needed it last minute before.
yeah.
Something bike falls or
Mm-hmm.
bangs into something. Yeah, especially traveling. In the back of your car, you
Yeah,
throw your cooler in. Next thing you know, you hit your derailleur hanger or your
yeah.
derailleur. Yeah, for sure.
My bike will be in my trailer though.
All together, right?
That's right. On the
Until you
bed.
until you go through the gorge
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah,
and
then it
something
may be,
falls off and hits your derailleur.
it'll be in a different part of the trailer.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, goodness. Hey, this is going to be fun. I'm going to really enjoy seeing a lot of our friends and local folks up there. And it'll be a good time. Lots of smiling, I'm sure, and high fives or fist bumps or whatever it's going to be. So,
Yeah, and I've heard of there several people just coming up for the day to watch,
yeah,
which is great because for those of you that didn't qualify this year, it's there again next year, and
that's right.
so we're so fortunate. I mean, to have the World Championship 2 hour drive away.
Yep.
You and I have both traveled the globe to go to this event,
Yep.
and the fact that it's there. So if you're not racing and you're interested, you come up for the
Yep.
day. It was like just the swim is not really spectator friendly, anyways. But come up and
Mm,
watch the run.
yeah. And even though it is the pandemic, they will still try to make this. a world championship feel. And every world championship I've been before, it really is sort of a neat feel to it. You really feel like you're a part of something bigger, and it is fun. So, maybe this year will be a little bit muted, but like you said, this is going to be the same event in 2022. So if you qualify for World Championship, you're doing St. George 2022.
Yep,
So
exactly. All right. Well, thanks, John.
yeah, good talking. All
Okay.
right, let's enjoy the Collins Cup, and we'll
We'll see.
compare notes
We'll see you
afterwards.
tomorrow.
All right, talk soon.
Okay, bye.